we did it. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. I think it's working now. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. We'll see.
Anybody there? I think let's welcome whoever joining with us. Thank you. Thank you, those who are just joining with us. Mahfuz, Mamun, Afshinur Rahman. So welcome to Global Success Stories, brought to you by Kamrul Hassan from Bangladesh. And today, as usual, I have a special guest from Turkey. So today, I'm having a different people from different nation. As a mission to bring the success stories across the world, and the mission is to bring the successful people's life story. And I believe that these are the stories that really helps me to understand and to believe in myself, because how the successful people are doing, thinking and believing and taking actions. What was their life? How was their life? Why they are doing it differently? What they are doing it now? I had a very curiosity to understand and go deep into the successful people's life, because I want to be successful, and I believe that a lot of people out there also want to be successful as well. And on that particular belief that I believe that those who are watching every day with me, maybe not every day, but sometimes, I'm sure that the successful people's life's blueprint has something to follow, has something to believe. And if we can believe in ourselves, we also can be successful as like them, as like any of our country people. There are many people are successful as well. And I also want to bring the successful stories from a country, and would like to present them into the global platform of mine. That's my way of bringing my country into the platform that we are creating together. And let's welcome Aslı Eti from Turkey. Welcome to the success stories, Asli.
Thank you so much, Carmel. First, I want to tell you that I am very truly happy that you have invited me on your platform. I think you have a wonderful mission, and I am really happy and honored to be a part of it. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. Thank you so much. Yeah.
It's my pleasure. So Asli, and those who are watching right now, let me introduce my guest a little bit and who Aslı Eti is. Asli, she was a professional in marketing, branding, and she worked 15 years in multinational advertisement agencies until 2015. And then she retired. I say retired because it's not like she's now not working right now, because she has responded to the call of her passion, her dream of writing. And she started writing the novels to inspire people. And she launched three of your books, right? Already you have launched. Since 2016, you have launched your first book, that Forget Me Not. That is one of the flowers name, and that is based on a story of a true story probably. And then you have launched your another book, that is School of Wisdom, which is launched in 2018. And you have launched another book, this 14 Days of the World. So that's your...
Between the two, the 14 Days of the World is the second novel that came out last year, exactly, yeah.
Last year.
Yes.
So that is that you have started writing since 2015. So, and what I see that you write basically to inspire people and bring the stories that people has. And a lot of us, we don't believe in ourselves, that your mission is help us to understand who we are. And you also want to help to find the passion, to find the purposes as well.
Exactly, Kamal.
Correct.
You put it really, you put it really wonderfully. That's exactly what I do. Really, to be honest, the reason I write is to inspire people to get their self-power back somehow, and to kind of, push them to never giving up on their dreams. And by a dream, I don't mean a blur, romantic blur. By a dream, I mean a very clear mission, because I believe that those missions are getting their power from our purpose in life, if I express it right. And those missions are here for us to serve other people. They serve us, to find our purpose, to be happy, to do what we love, but also they help us serve the other people, because when we share our story, it means that we somehow serve other people in a right way. That's kind of the reason we are here. So the very basic reason that I write, and especially for children and also for adults, I can explain that that's another story. And to help people inspire to never give up on their dreams, because I know that in the world today there are a lot of people who have given up on their dreams, and they are extremely unhappy about it. That leads to a place where there is and not a fulfilled life, and there is unhappiness. So they are really linked to each other, I think. And what I'm trying to do is, and thinking of my past, where I came from, thinking of all of my journey was a journey of, trying to take back my self-power somehow, despite all the circumstances, all the realities around me, all the needs in my material world and everything. Despite all of these, I was trying to get my self-power back, and I know how hard it was for 15 years, a little more than maybe 15 years. So I wanted to share that, little thoughts and little wisdom with other people, so they might get some, inspiration from it, and they can try to apply it in their lives. Maybe that's the reason. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and you said that you see, I quote your statement that I see storytelling as a magical tool to understand life and human nature deeply. Stories are metaphors for life. Stories and real life are magically related. They are one and the same, sharing the same formula. Stories reveal hidden secrets about our journeys, quote and unquote. Why do you choose, to bring out the stories in your writing?
Why do I choose? Okay. First of all, I want to tell you that I go to some schools, after they read my books, I go to make some talks there, and I have the wonderful opportunity to talk to the kids there. I make some talks with them, I give them some seminars. And in those talks, I just don't just talk about my books. I talk about something else, because it's an opportunity to make them aware that the stories that they read on books and our life, our real life that we are in right now, are exactly the same. They exactly follow the same journey, follow the same structure. And I use the Professor Joseph Campbell's hero's journey as an example to them, just so that they can visualize it in their minds, that true life and stories are exactly the same, and they share the same rules and the same structures. And this is a really good way to make them aware that what their life really means, that they are on a journey. And if they are aware of the fact that they are on this journey as the heroes of their life stories, they can look at it from a different perspective. I tell them that we are all writers, even if they're not writing stories on paper. All of them are writers, because we are writing our own life stories, and we are the heroes of our life stories, and they are exactly the same thing. And I ask them to make them understand human nature more, to make them understand ourselves deeper. I ask them, since you are all writers, where do you get your inspiration from? And maybe I have been to 50 schools up until now, since the past 2 years, and I always get the same answer, and which is correct, by the way, not wrong. They tell me that they get their inspiration from the outer world while they're writing their own life stories, from their families, from the incidents, from their friends, from what is happening around them, and that's totally correct. But that is not the only source of inspiration. In fact, there is a bigger and the ultimate source of inspiration, which is our thoughts and beliefs about ourselves. We as the writers of our own life stories, get all the inspiration, the main inspiration from our self-beliefs, from our thoughts and beliefs about ourselves, because it's the major perspective that we see life through. It's the major frame, it's the major window we see the life through. And I tell them that, I give them the bad news, and I tell them that all those thoughts and beliefs about ourselves, some are positive and some are negative. And negative ones are unfortunately as strong as the positive ones, but they are not true at all. We get all our major inspiration from a source that is not really true, because they are just opinions, they are not facts. We are like 7 billion people in the world. We have 7 billion different beliefs and thoughts. And I also tell them that what the scientists say about it, what science says about it, the fact is all of our beliefs and thoughts about ourselves are formed by the age of 8. This was really shocking for me when I first learned about it, when I was going through some researches. By the age of 8, all our beliefs and thoughts about ourselves are formed. And when we were at that little young age, this is not a very conscious and analytical process, by the way. Like a sponge, we take in, we like swallow everything that we feel from around us, that someone says about us, somebody else's opinion, some incident happening in the household. Like a sponge, we take all of these. And among these, there are negative ones, like we are not enough, for example, one of the most dominant ones that I had in my life when I was a teen. For example, let's go over that belief. We get the belief that I am not enough. I am not talented enough, not good enough, not successful enough, not beautiful enough, some kind of a belief. And when you take that belief in, and when you're not aware that you are, processing that belief inside of you, you write your life story based on that belief, integrating that belief. So what happens is you write a story that you are not enough, basically. It's very simple. You write your life story based on that. It was like that in my own journey when I was a teen. I remember that it was one of my dominant self beliefs, that I was not good enough as the other people, not interesting enough, not talented enough, not maybe colorful or funny enough. I had all those beliefs, and I tell the kids this reality: when you have such a belief in you somewhere really strong and rooted, and it's growing, you cannot just have it in your mind and you can have another life. When you have that belief, you turn it into your story. You become that. I think a few days ago you wrote it yourself. We become our thoughts, right? You wrote it somewhere on your, I remember seeing it on the page, and it's exactly right. It's exactly correct. We become our thoughts, and our being becomes our story. And I tell them as an example so that they get it right, how I was having that belief and how I wrote that story. I was not feeling enough. I was not seeing myself as enough. So, no, I was acting that way. I was living that life. I was having less friends. Maybe I was talking less with people, even with my closest circle. I was not attending to an end of the year show, for example. I wanted to try being on stage for a theater play, but I never had the courage to try it because I had this feeling of not being enough. So this is a true example. When you have that belief, you write your story that way. And apart from the world that with all its manipulations and limitations that is inspiring you while writing your story, then comes the false beliefs that is also manipulating you while you're writing your story. And what happens is that you get stuck in that gap. There is a gap between who you think you are, that you're not enough about something, and who you really are, which is exactly the higher level, that you who really are in your true essence. And this gap never closes, and you write the story of a person who's not enough all the time, and it can go on for like years and years, as it happened in my case. Maybe it took like 15 years. So I try to make the kids aware that all the stories in the world told since the beginning of mankind has the goal to gift offered discloses a little bit more, which you don't know because that essence somewhere on the way. So that's how I inspire kids about human nature and the link between real life and stories, and I think they get really inspired about it.
Yeah, great. I mean, I see that you also write about the children, and you said that children have deeper understanding and perception of life than we think they have. Writing literature for children is not writing simple and easy. In fact, it is just the opposite. I love to write inspiring stories of self-discovery and self-power for children.
Yeah.
And what is your experience, and why do you say that it's not easy that we thought to writing about children's story? And what is the reason behind that you're choosing this?
This is a really good question, and that forces me to expose some truth about my own journey, and I will. But first of all, I will tell you that many people think that writing for children is writing more, simplistic, writing more in a childish way, and it's kind of easier than, structuring a whole big novel for adults. It's not the case, actually. It's not the case. In years, I have realized that the children have much broader perspective, much greater perception than we thought, than we think about them. And when you talk like simplistic and easy and childish to them, it doesn't work. You have to acknowledge their broad perspective and wide perception about life. And why am I writing for children? This is a very important, I think this is the core meaning of my journey, actually. And do we have time? Can I have a little story about my own journey?
Sure. That is what I really want to hear about.
Okay, great. The key word here is, Kamrul, it's really writing with intention. Writing with intention is the core of all of my journey. And a few days ago, I think, yes, it was a few days ago, I came across a phrase by Dr. Michael Beckwith, which is expressing exactly what I lived through in my journey. He says that inspiration leads to intention. Very clearly, I will repeat it. Inspiration leads to intention. And he says that blind intention can lead us nowhere. But if we get our inspiration from somewhere inside, somewhere within, then it can lead to a true intention, which is, correlated to our true purpose in life. And to clarify this, I have to tell you my story. While I was in advertising, I used to write stories. I didn't start writing when I quit the job, actually. I was writing for adults, some short stories, and they were good stories. They were getting published every once in a while in literary magazines or some culture and literature platforms, and they were really good and nice stories. But when I quit my job, I couldn't write because something was disturbing me. Since I quit everything, all the money, all the titles, all the experience and everything, I had this heavy responsibility on me trying to find out why I was writing, what I was trying to do with my writing, because I had this big responsibility right now. Everyone was waiting for me to see what I would do. And since I quit that big job, I had to do something really good. It was such a big tension. And I couldn't write for a few months because I was trying to figure out why I was writing. And I was, thinking about this really thoroughly, and I came up with all the answers, like to be successful in another career was the first one. Maybe it was to, do a good thing and impress people. I wanted them to say, Aslı can do this as well, besides advertising. I wanted to, do something cool so that people would talk about it. I wanted to feel good writing because I loved it so much and I had free time. I was just going to sit down and write. But none of those were the real answer. And I was not feeling comfortable, so I couldn't start writing for like 3 or 4 months, maybe around 6 months. And I was really disturbed about it. And I thought of it. And one day, below, deep down, all the layers of those answers, which was not authentic and which was not true, I came to admit to myself that I was really sick and tired of feeling stuck in many aspects of my life, of not, exposing my real thoughts, of not, getting upper and pushing a limit and doing something bigger, maybe doing something that feels more true. I was really sick and tired of my own stuckness, as Lisa Nichols also says. And when I admitted that feeling to myself and thought, why am I writing? Only one answer, only just one little answer came up, and which was that little inner inspiration that Michael Beckwith was talking about. My only intention was that for my daughter, actually. I thought if my daughter, when she grew up, ever felt that stuck, that sad, that bad, that dark, and that hopeless and that unhappy in her life, I wanted her to read my story. I'm still getting a little emotional while talking about this, so sorry guys for that, but I truly admitted to myself that that was my only intention. If any kid, starting with my daughter, ever felt that bad in their life, that stuck and that lonely, I wanted them to read my story. And after I found this little inner gift of inspiration, which is totally coming from inside, not from all the layers and all the mumbo jumbo and all the smoke in my mind, I immediately started writing. It was unbelievable. I wrote for like 3 weeks, maybe 10 hours a day. I don't remember right now, but when I was in bed at night trying to sleep, words were still flowing into my mind, and I was taking notes in my cell phone, and I was used to getting up at 6 a.m. in the morning and writing again, and I complete that first book in like 3 weeks. And something shocking happened while writing that book. I witnessed myself writing a children's book, which was never a conscious intention. I swear on that. I had never an intention of writing a children's book, and I had never such an experience of writing even a little children's story. I used to write for adults. But that hidden intention, when it got back on the surface, made me somehow, my higher self or my inner wisdom, whatever you call it, put me on the path of writing a children's book. And then I started writing for children that way, only thanks to that intention. And another shocking thing, actually, which is maybe even a bigger shock, the book that came out after 3 weeks had a totally different tonality and a tone of voice that I've never known in my life, that I've ever had in myself, because it was so different from everything I've ever written in the past. It was like somebody else's voice. It was like so shocking. I couldn't really recognize my voice. And now looking back to those days, I realized that it was that intention, because it was my true purpose. And that intention took me on the pathway of finding my authentic voice on paper. Without that intention, that voice would never come out of me, because I didn't do it consciously. It was something subconscious, probably coming from inside and just pouring on the paper, and it was a voice that was unknown to me until that day. So that, we get inspiration from many things. We have many goals. Maybe there is some smoke in our minds. Maybe some of the people who are watching us feel that way right now. I don't know. We cannot, crystal clear about our goals. Probably it's because you don't have yet that inner thing, which is the true base of everything. Everything is flowing. You cannot choose among goals. You don't know what you have to do. You don't know what you really want to do. It's because you lack that inner thing that Michael Beckwith talks about. When you find it, you all go in the path. Even my voice came out unconsciously. I didn't do anything about it. I just found the inner intention. So that was the really core of my story, and that was a wonderful question from you. Thank you.
Thank you. And then next, you have written the 14 Days of the Earth. It says it looks like some mystical way. 14 Days of the Earth, tale of a young girl who discovers her inner power to change her life and the life of others for the better. Can you a little bit elaborate, what is this about, 14 Days of the Earth?
Okay. As you also said, I write stories of self-discovery. And I write little stories of, journeys leading to getting people getting their self-power back. And Why am I doing this is that I want to make children grasp and be aware of their inner power, which they somehow forget while they grow up. We have it in us, but on the way, with all the circumstances of life, with all the incidents happening at us from outside, we forget about it. And in that book, just like in the first novel, there is this girl, there is this hero, protagonist, let's say, which is going on a journey to discover her inner self-power, because uh, like any other of us, most of us, let's say, she had forgotten about it. And life happens, and when life happens in tough ways, it gets our hearts feeling a little cold, feeling a little lonely, and we start to lose connection with our true essence. And somehow, when you get aware of that seed, that self-power in yourself, you somehow realize that you can take it all back, and you can, what you reflect on the other people heals them too. You can heal the hearts of other people too. And maybe you are doing it right now with these interviews, with your actions, with your words, with your stories, with our stories. We can change that feeling. Maybe we can give hope, a little hope, to someone reading our story. And it's always the girls, always the girl protagonists in my stories, and always they are on a journey to discover their self-power back, so that they can reflect it on to other people, and they can create some good for other people, some good for the world around them, and they change things. When you do that, you have the power to change things. When you set an example to the others by being authentic, by being yourself, by discovering your self-power and doing something about it, you set an example, and it heals other people too. They see your story and they get inspired from it, and they are healed. That story is exactly that, of course, in a more fiction and a little bit of a magical setup, in a fantastic manner. That's what that protagonist do. She goes on a journey, and what she finds, the gift she finds, she reflects it on other people, and they soften their hearts too. Everybody gets their share of good from her experience, let me say.
And you said that one child can change the world if he or
Exactly.
she wishes it truly from the heart.
Yeah.
So you want to contribute to the change of the world. So how hopeful you are to the change of the world through the writing?
Change through the world through writing. You know what I feel is, when we do something from the heart, when we do something from the heart, it means that we are being really purposeful here. When we are doing something from the heart, it means that we are not doing for the money, we are not doing for the title, we are not doing for the for to impress people. When we do something from the heart, we we gain the gift at the end of the journey, and we share it with other people. And when I'm writing, I am trying to secretly convince people that we all have this power in us. We all have this power in us, no matter what other people say. And those characters in the stories, those girls in the stories, are always in tough situations first. They all make mistakes, some misdoings in the beginning. But the journey takes them to a place where they became an agents of change. Their behaviors and their discoveries, let me say, they're not perfect characters. They're not heroes, by the way. They are characters that make mistakes, like all of us. But their discoveries become a gift, become a little, little jewel of realization for other people. And when we write those in story format, I think they are really strong, because I believe that people really identify with stories rather than, yes, explaining them, giving them lectures, maybe expressing our point of views are great, but stories have this magical power in them that really connects hearts together. So when you're connected to another person's story, or in that case, in my case, the protagonist's story, I wish they feel the same. They take the story and they find its correspondence in them. What she does may appear in their lives in some other way. And I believe that children are really, really good at this, because I believe that their young minds are really freer than most of us, and they are not manipulated as our minds. And when you put in those little thoughts and beliefs about the self-power they're having in themselves and their power to change everything around them by changing their story, I think the seed stays in. And maybe while they're growing up, they will keep it in. They will grow it in. And one person's change may affect other people's perspective. So it goes on and on and on and on. And of course, they are getting inspiration from a million things around them, from a million other things. But I just wanted to add a drop in the ocean, an inspiration, a little drop from me also, so that they grow these seeds and they always stay aware of their self-power, no matter how they get manipulated with incidents, with other people's labels they put on them, with other people's opinions. No matter how they get manipulated, I want them to keep that seed in them. That's why I'm writing. And in the future, it will turn into something beautiful, probably.
Absolutely. The reason I asked you the question, because a lot of us, we feel that everybody feels that we can write something, and and all of a sudden we take back as well. We do not let it come out. But it's a wonderful story that you shared, that the purpose of your writing and to change the world by giving a seed, like the example you said. So how do we really find our stories of life, and
How do we find
if you
our own
can,
story?
yeah, right, if you can help to find out, because you found your purpose, you found your passion, and through your passion you're purposefully doing the work that you want to change, and true impact that you are bringing. A lot of us, we are not in a position as well to find our passion, and then later on to convert into the purposes as well. So what advice or what suggestions you from your own experience would give us?
I see what you mean. I have a lot of friends around me that they are somehow unhappy. They're at an unhappy stage in their lives, and they are trying to sort out what they really want to do. And they tell me that they don't know what their passion is. And I believe that it's impossible for a person not to have a purpose, because I think we come here with a purpose. There is a mission. There is something in us that we want to share with the world. And I think that we hide it from ourselves. In my case, it was like that. I believe that we hide it from ourselves. We don't confess many things to ourselves. Like I told you in the story, how I started to write for children. Or you don't admit to yourself some of your beliefs about yourselves. There is, a lot of layers in between. I think hiding your passion from you, because what we have inside is already shaped in years. And I think if we have the courage, to turn inward and try to understand why we're unhappy, why we are feeling so hopeless, why we are feeling so stuck, I am sure 100% that definitely something will come out from under that. And it all starts with confessing to yourself everything. I think it all starts with that. And after that, one thing you have to do is, and it's all like that in all the stories and in all the journeys as well, you have to make a step. There is just one step in the beginning, which is the hardest step. The first step that, how can I say, the first step that you make into an unknown world, into something that you have never experienced before. You have to make that step so that you can wake up in a new world, and you can open yourself to seeing new opportunities instead of hiding in a job which is probably your comfort zone, and you're not really eager to get out of it, but you sit in a corner and cry about being stuck, like I did for 15 or 16 years. You learn a lot, you experience a lot, and I'm always grateful for that. But it was hiding in a corner because You have to get out of there. You have to make a step, and you have to expose yourself somehow. If you don't know what to step in, probably you should go. You are not doing the inner work. You should go and look and confess, admit some things to yourself, and try to find what makes you so stuck. That stuckness, I think, is a sign that something's wrong. It is a sign that there is something else you have to do in life. Things aren't flowing, and it's only up to the person. I don't know, but this is my experience. Unfortunately, some things are only up to ourselves. No one can help us. Some people support us, some teachers show us the way, but at the end of the day, at the dark of the night, it always comes down to that person looking inside and admitting to himself or to herself what he has done that was not its real intention. I think that's the inward work that has to be done. That's my feeling about it.
Hmm. So that really connects me. Do you think that every time that you did the transition, right, from your set career to the unknown journey,
Yeah.
like in that transition, always did you feel good, or always did you on high side of your moral, or what was that? No, because a lot of us, we also think, those who are watching and would be watching probably, we get afraid. We get like, oh my goodness, how do I go to that journey, and how do I transform my life? Now everybody feels, to do something for a greater that doing today, but some unknown fear holds them, and sometimes not in the mood as well. How do you manage onto that kind of situations and to bring back into the again to your core?
Yeah. I'm still on the journey. I'm still a student. I'm still trying to learn. I'm still having fears. In the beginning, back in 2015, I was not feeling good. I was feeling good about doing my own thing, having the freedom, having my own time to do what I love, to write and to concentrate at least a few hours a day. That I was happy about. But in the big picture, there were tough times because I had been having all kinds of fears, related to, will I ever succeed? Will I ever be able to do that? Will I regret? I was, you feel scared of judgment sometimes. What will other people say about you? Or also you judge yourself. Do I have the right to quit a job where I used to earn real good money, and for something risky, for an unknown journey? Do we have the right to do that, where we need the money, to support our families? All kinds of fears, like blackbirds, like they start flying on your head, and some days are low, some days are high, but you need to be determined. Determination, I think, is the key here, because I was aware of the fact that I was having all kinds of downs, this roller coaster effect, and I'm very used to it because I have this past of anxieties and dark times and everything. I was used to that, and I was expecting this, so I was I was very prepared for this. And you have to take it. You have to take it. There is nothing you can do. And when I completed the book, I was ashamed to share it with anyone for a few weeks, because it was the first time that I would really expose something from my heart to the other people. And I was like, will people make fun of me? Will I be embarrassed or ashamed sharing this book with someone? Then those fears came in. Every time a fear comes into the story, but you make the step no matter how, because otherwise you don't go forward. Otherwise you go back to your known world, let me say. You sit on the couch and nothing happens. So making a step into the unknown is a must, and it never feels good. It feels like crap. I mean, to admit it, you feel really scared and you feel really desperate, and you want someone to come and tell you that, show you the future, that it will be good. You just jump in, but that never happens. So you're alone. You're alone, and you have to make that step alone. Even before the quest, before I joined the Speak and Inspire quest in March, 4 months ago, I was totally different, and now I am totally different. A lot of walls came down. The journey never ends, by the way. The fear never ends. If I had waited for the fear to end, I would never make that step. The fear, at least in my case, it never ends. So you have to learn to do it despite the fear. Even this interview, I mean, 4 months ago, for $1 million, I wouldn't do this interview because I would be so scared and so excited. But you do things no matter what, and every little baby step that you take, despite the fear, gives you something much bigger than that baby step in return. The gift is, thank God, the correlation is, like that. A little step has a big return of investment, let me say. So you have to get used to it doing with fear. Sorry, I don't have any good news for that. That's at least my case here.
And how rewarding, because all of the time that is a human nature, like with a trade-off, right? Something we love to exchange. We give our labor, we give our thoughts, and in return we get something. And something, hearing the call from the heart, from the passion. And what do you think that how rewarding it is, this journey?
The journey is rewarding in incredible ways, let me say. I didn't really truly perceive it in the beginning. My mind was so occupied with the negative side, with the fears and with the anxieties of being on a new path. But in time, slowly and slowly, as I sticked with the path, I realized that the reward came every day in incredible ways, because the main reward is not the appreciation of the people. It's not the sales of the books, not the money you earn, even if you earn anything. The real reward is something changes in your perspective about yourself, that you destroy some of the false beliefs that you have about yourself one by one as you make every step. And it is not easy as said in words right now. It's a very, very heavy, it's a very exhausting, it's a very tiring process sometimes. But you start to change your beliefs about this. For example, my belief that I would never ever go live in front of hundreds of people. I did it in schools, like I talked to 500 kids and I was still shocked about myself. How the hell did I ever do that? And every step you make, when the book is published, something inside of you cracks that. For example, in the past, in my teenage years and early 20s, I had this very, very specific feeling that I had nothing unique, colorful, interesting to share with people. This was a really true belief. I believed it 100% without ever questioning it. I believed that I had no interesting or colorful stories to share with anyone, so I used to maybe talk less with people. And when I started writing these books, I realized that I was using the stories from those days. I had a huge amount of stories. And when the book is published, a lot of people read my story. Even on the day of the publishing, the launch, I believed that no one would read my story, but I didn't care because I wanted my daughter to read it anyway. But as you see that people love your story, people respond to you, and people share their feelings about you. They share their feelings about how they identified with you, how they felt reading your story, how they felt lifted up. It totally changes. You don't believe anymore that you don't have something worthwhile to say to the world. And it leads to the healing of another belief about your self-worth. You know what I mean? You reconsider your self-worth. All those false universe of beliefs about your self-worth, they also start to change. So the reward is immensely huge, and you have to be determined. You shouldn't give up in the first couple of months, but you have to stick to it in a determined way to receive the real shining gold rewards on the way. The fear factor is there. There's nothing you can do about it.
Great. Despite all these challenges that you are going ahead, where do you see like creating impact in the world? And what is your mission like in the next 15, 20 years? what impact you want to create. Like let's say it's no more dream, like you are on your dream, you are living your dream, you're living your life, and what next, how you want to create impact on this world, and you would happy to see that. What is that?
What is that? This is a wonderful and a very hard question. But maybe 2 years ago, I would have a harder time to answer this question. But as I go along the way, I get into my interesting phases in my journey. Since a year, for example, I am I am dreaming to go beyond the pages of my books. I will continue writing because I believe that words are very powerful, and words are so powerful enough to inspire people, to change people, and to connect you with people heart to heart. But now I wish to create a greater impact, and I want to go beyond the book pages, and I want to be eye to eye and hand to hand to people. And this is a feeling that I never had before in my past. I would actually feel just the opposite. But now, since I am getting my self-confidence back, since I am gaining my self-worth and self-love and courage back along with the books, maybe thanks to the books, I have the feeling that I want to have a greater impact with being on one-on-one to people in platforms, maybe speaking with them, I don't know, maybe having an experience with them through talks and seminars, or maybe through educational and inspirational meetings, because I believe that all the stories have a power. The books have the fictional stories for children at the moment. My own story, as I saw a lot of times in my recent past, has the potential to affect other people, to empower other people. Someone else's story have the power to inspire me when I'm at a low point in my life. So it's all correlated. And what I dream 15, 20 years is maybe too hard, a distant time for me to figure out, but maybe the next 3 or 5 years I wish to be with many people from all around the world, sharing our stories with each other, just to empower us, to empower each other, and to inspire each other. The books, but also the real life stories along with the books. I dream to be on platforms where I can connect with people and where I can share with people, where I can exchange our true stories to empower one another and to reflect what comes out from that to the world, let's say for the next 5 years. And this would be really, this would be really giving me the chills and giving me joy, only talking about it at the moment. I hope it will come true. And in 20 years, maybe something even more magical happens. I don't know right now. Sorry for that.
I certainly hope and believe, and I wish that all your wish and dream come true, and you create a larger and greater impact on the earth by your writings, and your writings could spread all over the world in the planet and touches the millions of people's heart and mind, and you transform their thoughts into the reality and bring them hope and courage and inspiration to create another, I mean, to create millions of Asli Eti, coming out of their own shelf and doing,
Also, exactly.
connecting the passion. And that is what I believe that would happen eventually, because that's the power of passion, that's the power of imagination that you're doing today.
Thank you so much.
And I thank you for your time. And one last advice, like you are still young, but younger Asli Eti, 20 years back, 20 years back, like, okay, what advice would you give someone who is watching you? Like,
To someone 20 years younger than me? Sorry, could you repeat it?
yeah, let's say Asli Eti at the age of 20. So what advice would you give looking back at your life?
I would definitely tell her that the world has nothing to do with what she thinks of it at that moment. And I would advise her to forget everything she knows and I just would advise her to believe, to listen to her heart and to believe what she hears from that, because I think all those, hardships and manipulations and incidents happening all around us, really get us stuck in like a little box. I would advise not to believe anything she hears from others, not to listen to any labels or opinions she hears from others, and just to go for, what she feels to be true, because I think it's one of the major things. All those opinions and labels somehow become more important than our true callings. Somehow they get hidden down the layers. So I would advise her to just go for what she feels to have in her heart, and never take any labels on. Never take anybody's opinions as labels on her, and never do anything if she doesn't feel 100% happy and comfortable about it. Because when you do the otherwise, you start to lose your joy of life. You start to lose your self-confidence and belief, and your self-love even. So that would be my advice to her, and I would advise her to find something that moves her, to really excites her to share with the whole world, but truly sharing with the whole world, not to impress others, not to earn any money, not to do something, but truly gives the creeps to share, not having a performance, but just truly sharing what she really wants to get it out of her mouth. I would really push her to find that as soon as possible. That would be my advice.
Absolutely. That's really wonderful piece of advice. Those who are watching, never accept somebody else's judgment or level, because that's there. There's nothing to do with the self, because that's not the real me or real you. That's a wonderful. Asli Eti, thank you so much for your time, for your wonderful work that you're doing, and those who are watching right now, that through this journey of transformation of Asli Eti and what she's doing, it's a wonderful. And I wish and believe that all of you has the incredible power within yourself, and all of you can even turn around the world, the universe, the entire world. You have the ability, you have the insane power that has been bestowed upon by the Almighty, by the Creator. Even if you don't believe the Almighty, so whoever it is there, based on your religion, the superpower, someone else is there that has been given through your mind, through your heart. And let's believe in that ability, that power, and let's take action. Let's think big, let's dream big, and let's serve this world, and let's make this world even a bit better place for the next generation that we are leaving behind. And nothing more satisfactory than creating this world a bit better place for all of us. And together, I believe that we can do that, and we have that immense authority within ourselves. And we means that's the spirit of the Creator. We as a human being may be very small, but our thought, our imagination power, that's really something bigger than every one of us. We can create the world a bit better place for all of us. And I hope and believe that we can do so. Without much further delay, I invite you to join this journey of excellence of own self every day, so that we can surpass our own ability, what we did today. Tomorrow, let's do something even better, and the next day, let's do something even further better. And that's only to satisfying our own self, as Asli Eti said, not to satisfy anyone. As she also said, not to earn something by the exchange of passion. And if we can do that, really we can bring out our own self, our true self. That's what my belief. And that's what I also striving every day, each day, to bring that passion into reality. And I want to help people, millions of people, by the help of yours. You are my help, you are my inspiration. And I invite you to share your excellence, to share your journey, so that people can be empowered, people can be believing them on themselves. A lot of people beside you may need your help, may need your inspiration, may need your assistance to come out from own shelf, that they're really afraid. Through Asli Eti's message, I am inspired, and I hope that those who are watching would be inspired too. And I leave it to this ocean of the universe. to be inspired hundreds of thousands and to become thousands of Aslı Eti by the pen and power. I wish you all the best, Aslı Eti, and all the success come true.
Thank you so much once again, Carmel, for the opportunity. And I am 100% supporting your wonderful mission. And I am so honored to be a part of your platform. Thank you for everything once again.
Thank you, those who are watching and have given your valuable time. I'm really incredibly indebted to all of your patience, hearing, and support behind. Thank you. Stay well. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.